the 24 item. There were 4 open after Thursday, and they are on the back side of the agenda. We need to review what we're going to do tonight, the cost for highway vehicles. At the last meeting, we requested Carrie Ann to reduce the set aside for capital reserves in this year, next year, which she did after the meeting. It was in a spreadsheet she sent out, and that was fine. So we're going to review that tonight. The final, what I hope is the final plan for the highway equipment. John Hennessy was supposed to obtain a quote for the ambulance, and Jack just reported briefly, but Jack can tell us now. We do have a quote for that now.
The quote we got was 232,000 and change. You could round it up to 234.
234.
And
Okay.
And that includes, I believe, 13,500 for a 7-year maintenance package, or is it? I think it's 7 years. Is it 7 years? Do you remember?
I printed it.
If I may, it includes how much? 13,000.
13,500, I believe.
500 for maintenance package. So I need to ask a question. Should we be including the costs of maintenance agreements, and I don't have a position one way or the other, in the CIP plan, or should we be only including the cost of procuring the vehicle? What does the committee think?
I think you can include it in the CIP. You're gonna pay for it all at once. That it comes with a maintenance package.
Okay,
You can decide differently, but you could break it out, but. In the year that you get it, you'd have to put it somewhere else, but it's a
Right.
prepaid expense.
I just didn't know if it was appropriate from how do I say this? Not laws, but state laws, state rules, whatever guidelines as to whether or not things like service contracts should be considered capital. That's what I don't know.
It's part of the cost of acquiring the piece of
Yeah.
equipment, right?
Remember the
I
maintenance,
can go either way. I'm not arguing against it.
remember the maintenance package itself is not capitalized, right?
Right,
Because it's,
right.
but it is.
And the
it part of
vehicle
capital.
is, so that's why I'm asking.
It is part of the capital expense, which is gonna come and go in one lump.
Yeah, Ellie's gonna jump up and down. She's gonna claim that, part of it's labor. Which is.
The service contract.
Yeah,
Well, constructing the vehicle is
It's
like,
not,
I'm
it's
just-
not our labor, but yeah.
I get you, I'm just.
yeah, I know.
It's
But let's.
it's gonna
let's-
happen, so.
By the way, we only have 30 minutes,
All right,
guys.
so
We gotta be done.
let's not ticker over it. That's
So let's
good.
not figure, what does the committee want?
234
Bottom line.
All right,
Quick.
so raise your hand if you wanna keep it
Go
in the total cost.
Good.
All right,
Okay,
we're
it's
good.
in there. All right, thank you. So that was on the ambulance, and next thing was on, trade-in. You said the trade-in right now is 2,500
2,500 to the dealer,
Okay.
yes.
to the dealer, and if John can do better, fine, but we'll put. So Carrie Ann, with your leave, since I have the master right now, I changed it today, I'll add those 2 numbers onto my spreadsheet before I turn it back over to you, okay?
And at the 4 p.m. today, Chief Hennessy sent me the fire truck updated number.
Oh, good.
It's 574,746.
574,746 which fire truck, the rescue vehicle that we're gonna be buying soon?
Yes,
Okay,
and I'll forward you those emails. when I want to get back.
please do, and if you don't mind, since I got it in flux right now, I'll change it and then turn it back over.
That's substantially less, that's 50,000, almost 50,000 under the number we were carrying. We were carrying 625.
But it's
Mhm.
pretty pricing, and then we won't get it into possession
Okay.
for how long?
Right. So Sal was just saying, I'm gonna take a look. We were carrying, you're right, 625. Yeah, I see that now.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good news.
Is
Okay.
that the one that carries all the tools? Like the big toolbox on wheels?
Is it the rescue truck?
Is that? what-
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
It's the rescue truck. Yeah,
Okay.
it is. Yes. That's what we had on the plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last item was regarding the formula for calculating projected CR balance on bridges, but that was changed today. So I think these action items are now all done. We have all those answers, and we'll move on to item 3 on the agenda. Final review of CIP spreadsheets. Now, let me say the general fund equipment, we'll take it one sheet at a time. General fund equipment, which is things like turnout gear and computers and that kind of stuff, is exactly what it was Thursday with one change. And that change is on the police servers. I have put in today's spreadsheet that I sent you all about 3 o'clock, the hardware cost only, not the labor and software. in 24 and in 25 for the two servers as quoted. We were all given the quotes by email. Those two numbers are $69.90 in 2024 and $15,900 in 2025. That's the hardware cost. So those are in the spreadsheet that I emailed out this afternoon. Other than that, it's the same plan that was shown to us Thursday, which had not changed much over time. So I think that sheet is probably in as good a shape it's gonna be in. And by the way, the bottom line total is about on par from previous years with slow growth due to inflation, as you might imagine. Bottom line total is 118,000 in 2024. And then it grows slowly it averages around 150 to 200 depending on the year. And okay. So my personal opinion is that sheet sounds okay. I don't think we need to take a vote sheet by sheet. So with everybody's concurrence, we'll move on to the next sheet, which is the capital reserves equipment, namely police cars, fire trucks, highway department, etc. Now, on that page, I made a couple of significant changes this afternoon. But Carrie Ann made the most important ones after our meeting last Thursday. All I did this afternoon was move a couple of lines because something came up Thursday night at Budget Committee. Bob Goodman said his number one priority was the number 9 Freightliner truck. And we looked and said, whoa, that's not the one shown in the plan to be leased. So I fixed that today. Now, that didn't change the dollar value of the plan at all. It just changed which truck is gonna be leased and which one is still gonna be left behind in the potential purchase section for later. What else did I change today? Let me see. Oh, I have the changes right here.
All right, well, before you go on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take you back a second.
Sure.
On the general fund equipment,
Yeah, oh,
transfer station,
right.
line 116. Under 2029, I have a bad reference on my spreadsheet.
You do?
No
Oh, I
dollars,
didn't.
no
Let me-
nothing.
I'll find it for you. Transfer
116.
station.
Yeah, line 116
And I
and
was, we have to go there right now. Line 116 says Tetco Ram trailer. It's supposedly a $40,000 item and it doesn't.
what's in
show-
2029? What do you have in that
I'm
field?
looking. Oh, yeah, there is a bad reference on
Yeah.
2029.
Okay.
Now that is far enough in the future. It's not in a 6-year window. I will find out what that formula error is.
Mhm.
Let me, thank you. I had not noticed that. It's way out to the right.
Yeah.
It's
fine.
Just.
You asked me to watch out for the details, Claude. That's what I'm
Thank
doing.
you. You're great at that. Fix your own 2029. That's just a formula error of some kind. It should simply say 40,000.
Whatever it is.
I'll fix it. All right, thank you.
Yep.
So back to capital reserves equipment and the changes that were made today. Were again swapping the 2 dump trucks to Bob's priority. He didn't change his tune. It's just that somewhere along the line, something got mixed up. Let's see. The lease payments formula, oh, there was a line on that spreadsheet that said total warrants to capital reserves, but before today, it included lease payments. So I just separated the 2 out, and there's a new line now that shows the combined total anyway. So that, and I think that's good.
Right, and then on line 92, we have a 0 value for trade-ins,
92, let's look. Yes, we do
Okay.
at the moment.
right?
But line 92 is not the actual, that's just a summarizing line, by the way.
I understand,
Go ahead.
but in the highway, we have a number there, $20,000 for the year. That doesn't carry down to that. That field is just blank.
Correct.
Theoretically, it should have the sum total of all of the trade-ins.
All right.
Just
Tell you what,
What
I
department
will-
is that, Sal? Because mine doesn't have numbers for bylines.
so South
if
Point,
you go
there's a
down-
$20,000 number on row, I think it's 79 or 80 for highway equipment.
Right.
And way at the bottom of the sheet, it attempts to summarize everything and the trade-in line does not have a formula in it. I can fix that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna write that down. Carry trade-in. To total.
So just the formula says it.
It's only a formula, it's only a
just
summarization at
needs
the
to have
bottom of the
the
sheet. It does not change the
total in it.
plan of what equipment to buy or.
No.
the dollar values.
Just by looking at it on my phone, and Tom
Yes.
probably has seen the same thing, it doesn't number our lines like it would in a regular
I see,
spreadsheet.
yeah. But again, this is not to be concerned, it is not a change in the plan, it's just,
We're not
correcting
I'm
the
not
spreadsheet.
concerned. I can't speak for Tom, but I'm not concerned.
gotcha. All right, then the next.
We'll decide.
You, I'll let you speak for me.
We'll
anytime.
decide whether Sean's concerned or not. He's not concerned.
Okay, that's not the sheet. Bridges and, again, it didn't change the plan, but the bulldozer and excavator we've talked about a couple of times that have been used in the.
Yeah, I
in
thought
the
that
past.
was a good
I
idea.
noticed that in your sheet, and your separate sheet that you did, you would put them in a category called, equipment to be
Phase out.
discontinued, phase out.
Yeah.
So I did the same thing on this spreadsheet.
Right.
I simply moved those two lines into this category. Now there are 4 items that say to be phased out. But again, didn't change any dollar values or equipment decisions or
Right,
anything like
just
that.
categorizing.
Yeah. That's it on the capital reserves, sheet. What I mean is that's what I did for changes. After Carrie Ann did the changes we asked of her last Thursday, we're looking at a total of this coming year, the proposed warrant to capital reserves is 200,000 plus the 169 and change for lease payments. So it is looking like a total of 300, let me see if I should have the two.
For the highway 369.
Should be, there it is, 369,000 is the combination. And that's a big increase from prior years, but it's down, it's about half what it was 2 months ago. Before we started working these issues. This is probably the biggest, not the whole plan. What comments does anybody have on the committee? First of all. Are we there? Do you believe
I
that's
think
about
that-
as far as we can go?
I think the plan is the plan. We get to a $0 CR balance at the end of 27, at the end of 28.
Correct.
And so I don't think we can skinny it down any much more than that without.
Gone from 7 pieces to 4 to be leased.
Yeah.
We've gotten quotes which have improved the value of a couple of pieces of equipment. We've eliminated the $50,000 capital reserve for EMS. So we've made improvements to the plan in those regards.
And 200 is what we decided for capital for the highway for next year?
We asked her to aim for that range,
That's what we, okay.
but
Oh, we asked her to back.
we asked her to
back.
back into the number and she ended up being able to back into 200, so it worked out.
Well,
Thank you,
Right,
Karen.
right.
however she managed it, she did what she was.
It worked out.
You
Made
did
it
well.
made it happen.
Higher than it's.
Made it happen.
That's good, exactly. And by the way, it's 200 this year, 24 and 250 the year after and so on. It goes up as it needs to in the future. And it may or may not go up in the future if we decide, let's say, to lease other groups of equipment. We might decide to put less in capital reserves. That's something we're gonna look at year to year.
My bet is if it goes well, hopefully you'll have this conversation next year at CIP about leasing additional pieces of equipment.
So, exactly.
Wouldn't that be sweet?
And if we do, we will commensurately reduce.
Right.
The planned capital reserve subside in order to, for the funds to go to lease payment, yeah.
And we'll
So
also by then have continuing refinements to the bridge numbers. Because those will get.
Continuing refinements, agreed, absolutely. That's everything I had to say about the vehicles, the capital reserves page, and I wanted to be sure others had just comment before we moved to the other two, which are buildings and bridges. No other comments? Okay, let's move on to buildings. In the buildings category, there was a comment, I'm sorry, let me start with. A few weeks ago, Carrie Ann received direction to delay the highway garage addition 1 year. She did. But the result of that was both the garage addition and the town office ended up in the same year. At the budget committee meeting Thursday night, it was pointed out that didn't make much sense. You know, that looked up, now we were talking $700,000 all in 1 year, 2 building projects, etc. So what I did today is I arbitrarily moved the town office 1 year further. In other words, so they both got split out here. Town office in the spreadsheet I sent out today shows 400,000, just a guess, in 2027. Having said that, and one more thing I did. There was discussion at the budget committee meeting and elsewhere that there was a capital account at which bank again?
Bar Harbor.
At Bar Harbor for 16,877 exactly, which is, says it's a highway garage. So it was discussed at the budget committee meeting that there's no reason not to plan to use that money towards the highway garage addition. So I put that in this spreadsheet that I sent out at 3 o'clock on the line that said other revenue. I said other revenue and funds. And I put that there, and that helps relieve the situation a little bit on buildings. We still go negative out in 2027 if we spend $400,000 on a town office, but that's a big if. So I'm saying we don't panic right now. We put in the plan $50,000 to capital reserves. And with that and the 16 grand we have at Bar Harbor, we're going to have enough to pay for the highway garage addition in 2 years.
I have a question.
Yes.
This has to do with the $400,000 ticket. It says library town office renovate the office. Is that earmarked specifically just for the office and not for the building and?
I don't think it's clear. One of the things I was gonna comment about that.
It's buildings. It's not earmarked for any one building.
Okay,
Well, so in the past, when Mike Sampson started having us put this money away, it was to renovate town office, not anything to do with the library.
okay.
And so now the rest of the building where the library is needs renovations, but I believe that that's potentially a warrant article because we would need to expend it next year. So we don't want to put it away and then can't get to it because we need a second town meeting to pull it back out. But when he started this conversation, 3 or 4 years ago in these meetings, it was to renovate just the town office piece.
Wow.
Nothing to do with the
So
library.
that seemed like a lot of
funds
money.
just to that one building.
Well,
Well,
what strikes me is,
Well, what I mean, Sadie first.
It was to move it, no, and he did talk about just town office.
Yeah.
And it was. to
When you say talk about, I have a question, Sadie, excuse me, do you mean the capital reserve fund that was created?
no, move the office.
Was that only for this one building? I don't think so.
No, but he had us start putting.
We started planning money for one building, okay, gotcha.
And it would not be to quote renovate, but to either build a new space, move it to log cabin, something.
No, right,
Yeah,
right.
my observation to that was, it's great to kind of save that up, but. It strikes me that. It's impossible to identify what that gross number is if you haven't done a space needs analysis.
Yeah,
Figured
Right.
out what it ought to look like.
Right,
And
right.
engage somebody like an architect to decide, what
Right.
do you think we ought to have anyway? Because otherwise you're just throwing a pile of money and you don't have a clue.
that's right.
Where it's gonna be, what it's gonna look like, why it's gonna look like that, and whether it's gonna be adequate and how long it's gonna last.
And that's why I
Okay,
moved
so-
it out yet another year.
All right, so then can
So
I
I
get to
don't
the
think
point?
I don't think it's a bad idea to move it out, but
Right.
I'm wondering if it isn't prudent at some point, either through the budget process or CIP, not next year, maybe the year after, to put in some planning money so you can actually answer the question, what are we building?
Okay, got it, got it.
So my,
Dan, you wanted to?
all right, so my point, the point that I'm trying to make is you guys are gonna be asking for $130,000 warrant article roughly to fix the library building?
Well,
I don't know if we
potentially.
have it.
Potentially.
I meant again with.
What I'm
the-
getting, yeah,
Yeah,
can
go
I,
ahead, sorry.
can I then say that we have $195,000 in this account? That theoretically we could use?
No.
No,
No,
okay.
because, no,
The trustees were very clear and in examining the source of those funds,
right.
Okay,
that those were either fundraised or donated for specific things like, I don't know, books. Programs, that sort of thing.
the CIP dollars, the CIP fund?
No, he's
I
two
think
different
he-
funds
Yeah, I think he's referring to what we have in the.
in the
town
trustees.
office
Sorry,
So
yeah.
I feel like
This
that
piece
could
here is-
potentially be, yeah.
Right, that would save you the warrant on it. You could just take the money out of here. So, you could say we're gonna take the money out to fix it.
But
But I have a comment on it. I'm not sure the capital reserves are intended to be used under state law for repairs.
Oh,
Well, why wouldn't they? be?
why, I don't.
I didn't, it was always my impression that, you didn't use capital reserve to fix an ambulance or fix a fire truck or fix a dump truck, put a new transmission in it.
Well,
You used it to buy new equipment.
for things like the meeting house capital reserve, we use it to.
We don't have a capital reserve account.
all right, so why
Yeah,
not?
The question is.
Take a look at it is all I'm saying. You
Yeah,
might
no,
save
and I
yourself
think
the-
there is an answer.
Okay,
That
Good.
And maybe Carrie Ann remembers, but the 197 in the buildings. Was, I thought it already had some point or allocation or dedication.
Well, it was slated for the highway garage expansion,
Okay,
so that was.
Through the CIP process.
yeah, so
if
you
we-
could use it for any purpose that you.
For any
get
building
permission for.
purposes, money.
But then you won't get your highway garage, you're gonna have to save up for that.
True, right.
But this, maybe this is a year to do that, I mean,
Well, that's what
somebody's,
I'm kind of getting at, you know, you're gonna be asking for a lot of money, right? And if you can push 130 through on this account. And then we can save up a little bit more later,
What's,
you might,
what's,
you know, ease the burden.
And according to this, Carrie's
we
numbers,
could use
there's
it,
195,000
we
in
can
the
use it
capital
on
CIP.
buildings,
Yeah.
But then it's gonna push out other buildings down the road,
right,
Yeah, but you know,
yeah,
well,
whatever our preference is.
well, I mean, if you really still wanted to keep on track for the 300,000, you wouldn't need all that much. To get there, if you took 130 out, you'd have to, instead of putting 50 in for the next 3 years, if you put in, looks like 75, you'd get there.
well, certainly a way to mitigate the increase in taxes to be raised would be to take some money and then reallocate it in a year where the bump isn't so great.
Yeah, so that's what I'm just putting it out there as a thought for
Do you
powers
foresee
that
that
be,
year
think
coming?
about it.
What's that?
do you foresee a year like that?
Just think
coming?
about it.
No, it'll
But we
be,
need to decide right now, because we're gonna vote
I
tonight
don't
and
think we need to
finalize the plan,
decide.
right?
No, I don't think
The
we can
CIP.
decide right now, because that would just be a warrant article that goes to the voters to decide whether or not to take the funds out.
I hear you. Sal suggested an increase in the capital reserve set aside. That we would have to decide right now.
Well, I'll just, it's a, okay.
That's
I
what we
mean,
just suggested
We
on
could,
top of that.
you could leave it where it is this year and then up
There
to
you go.
75 of the next year, that's fine.
That's kind of what I'm saying. We need to
Just a
decide that.
thought process, to
Sure.
look at the way to ease the burden on what the total tax bill is gonna be.
yeah,
I see,
just,
I see where you're coming.
Okay,
just for your purposes, I did meet again with the contractor that's expressed an interest in at least giving us a price of potentially doing the
Good.
work.
Good.
And so it's like our third meeting and it's likely. I don't know what the prices we're gonna get. He promises it to me by the end of the week. I told him you can have my office on Thanksgiving if you need workspace. But it could be that that'll stretch out over 2 years, which would potentially do a couple of things. Obviously pushes half of it away. You could still use some of that building
Right.
to mitigate the first half or the second half or both halves.
Yeah.
And really accomplish a lot. Because if you cut the project in half as to next year and you mitigate the cost by borrowing some from the building fund,
Mm.
you've now almost eliminated, you've almost made it budget neutral,
I know,
right?
that's all right. Okay, so let's move on to the next.
All right, and the last sheet is bridges. I don't think we need to study the numbers in detail tonight, but these are the new bridge numbers from today.
Yeah.
And what I'm gonna suggest is that I would need a little time tomorrow to digest these and put these into the CIP. In the appropriate year, and I might need 10 minutes for your help to do that tomorrow. So we could,
Well, or next week,
pardon,
or next week,
or next week.
Yeah.
Um,
only because she's
Oh,
gotta
next week.
get. it's
You know
a
what I'm saying?
short-
So I gotta
it's a
write
short
the annual
week.
report in the next 3 days.
I know. She's
So
gotta-
whatever it is, it is.
And and she's
It's
gonna
done.
and she's gonna get payroll out in the next 24 hours.
I'm
Because it's a
gonna
short
try to
week.
read these numbers best I can,
Yeah.
but we
I
gotta get
understand.
something in here tomorrow, because by the weekend I have to have an annual report out.
I understand.
There's no two ways about it. It's a lot of work to do too.
Hmm.
Gotta pull all these spreadsheets out and turn them into a report. So these are the new bridge numbers.
She can send you that spreadsheet.
Pardon? Yeah, she already
Yeah.
said she will, yeah.
Yeah.
If I can just do it if I can put them in the CIP format, which is a simplification of this, fine.
Okay.
If not, I might need a little help.
Okay.
But I'm not sure that the committee is gonna challenge the bridge numbers that are coming from the state or anything
Yeah,
like
there'd be
that.
no
We're not
doubt.
gonna,
Might be no-
they are what they are, right?
Yeah.
The only thing I'd ask you, Jack, is after that meeting today,
Unless one of the members is gonna do the design and the construction.
I'll do it. So Jack, I'd ask you, after your meeting today, do you think that a contribution, the proposed warrant article for this coming year is $50,000 to be added to the current fund of 156? Is there any reason that you believe that 50,000 needs to be increased that substantially in the coming year? We'd have about 200,000 in reserves.
I don't think, it won't need to be increased.
All right.
It'll be sufficient.
It'll be
Yeah,
sufficient.
it'll be sufficient.
We can look at
We're
it again
cutting
next
it.
year. If we need more, then we'll have to.
Yeah.
propose more. All right, good.
Yeah.
That was the bottom line in terms of the capital reserve set
Right.
aside.
Right.
All right, well. I will say, does the committee have any other specific suggestions about the plan? If not, I propose, well, let me just ask that. Any other important issues that the committee knows about?
Yeah.
If not, I make a motion that we approve this CIP plan, that we see with a couple of changes that I will work tomorrow, that is put the new bridge numbers in. Fix the two errors that Sal pointed out, that those are just formula corrections. And put in the new $574,000 price for the rescue vehicle, which is good news. And new ambulance quote. I can do those things tomorrow. Other than that, the plan is what you've seen for the last few days. I make a motion, we approve that plan. We recommend that plan to the town.
Second that.
Just a second. Sal, second the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All in favor, okay. Do we have any other business?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
We're adjourned.
That was quick.
Right, boys.